Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we're continue reading from 7th Canto, Chapter 10. We're doing text 15 through 17. Prahlad, the best among exalted devotees. And that's verse 17 on the board, so I'll just read through the first two. Shri Prahlada Uvacha Varam Varaya Ete Tat Ete Te Varadeshan Maheshvara Yad Anindat Pitame Tvam Avidvam Steja Ashvaram Vidham Marasaya Shakshat Sarvaloka Guram Pubam Bratri Heti Mrishi Dristis Tvad Bhakte Mayi Chag Havan. So now we can read these together. Tasmat Pita Me Puyeta Durantad Dustarat Aghat Putaste Pangasam Drishtas Tada Kripana Vatsala Tasmat Pita Me Puyeta Duranta Dustarad Aghat Putaste Pangasam Drestas Tada Kripana Vatsala Tasmat Pita Me Puyeta Duranta Dustarad Aghat Putaste Pangasam Drishtas Tada Kripana Vatsala. Sri Prarada Uvacha. Prahlad Maharaj said, Varam, benediction, Varaye, I pray, Etat, this, Te, from you, Varada Ishat, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who offers benediction even to such exalted demigods as Brahma and Shiva. Maha Ishvara, O my Supreme Lord. Yat, that. Anindat, vilified. Pita, Father. Me, my. Tvam, you. Avidvan, without knowledge of. Teja, strength. Aishvaram, supremacy. Vidha, being polluted. Amarsha, with anger. Ashaya, within the heart. Shakshat, directly. Sarvaloka Gurum, unto the Supreme Spiritual Master of all living beings. Prabhum, unto the Supreme Master. Bhatriha, the killer of his brother. Iti, thus. Mrisha Drishtihi, falsely envious because of a false conception. Tvat Bhakte, unto your devotee. Mayi, unto me. Cha, and. Aghavan, who committed heavily sinful activities. Tasmat, from that. Pita, father. Me, my. Puyeta, may be purified. Durantat, very great. Dushtarat, difficult to pass over. Agat, from all sinful activities. Putaha, although he was purified. Te, of you. Apanga, by the glance over him. Samdrishtaha, being looked at. Tada, at that time. Kripana Vatsala, O you who are merciful to the materialistic. Translation. Prahlad Maharaj said, O Supreme Lord, because you are so merciful to the fallen souls, I ask you for only one benediction. I know that my father, at the time of his death, had already been purified by your glance upon him. But because of his ignorance of your beautiful power and supremacy, he was unnecessarily angry at you, falsely thinking that you were the killer of his brother. Thus he directly blasphemed your lordship, the spiritual master of all living beings, and committed heavily sinful activities directed against me, your devotee. I wish that he be excused for these sinful activities. Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Although Hiranyakashipu was purified as soon as he came in contact with the Lord's lap and the Lord saw him, Prahlad Maharaj still wanted to hear from the Lord's own mouth that his father had been purified by the Lord's causeless mercy. Prahlad Maharaj offered this prayer to the Lord for the sake of his father. As a Vaishnava son, despite all the inconveniences imposed upon him by his father, he could not forget his father's affection. Inconveniences. Translation we can read. Prahlad Maharaj said, O Supreme Lord, because you are so merciful to the fallen souls, I ask you for only one benediction. I know that my father, at the time of his death, had already been purified by your glance upon him. But because of his ignorance of your beautiful power and supremacy, he was unnecessarily angry at you, falsely thinking that you were the killer of his brother. Thus he directly blasphemed your lordship, the spiritual master of all living beings, and committed heavily sinful activities directed against me, your devotee. I wish that he be excused for these sinful activities. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksulan Militam Jaina Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jaina Bhutale Svayavrupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Panchakalpa Tirubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. This is the mercy of the pure devotee. Prabhupada says in the purport, I like that word he uses, as a Vaishnava's son, despite all the inconveniences that Hiranyakashipu placed upon his son. These were, of course, very great inconveniences as he was trying to kill him one way after another after another. But I guess this is even the outlook of the pure devotee. These are simply inconveniences. He's not even bothered because his focus is always on the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his service. With Srila Prabhupada, I see that same compassion, that same determination. When I first joined Prabhupada as his servant, I had just been with him a few days, and we ended up, after leaving Pittsburgh, going to Dallas, Los Angeles, Hawaii, and then we stopped in the Philippines. So I was with him by this time maybe 9 days, 8-9 days, and carrying on. So when we got to the Philippines, it was the first time we weren't staying in a temple. We were staying in a hotel. There was no temple there. And Moga was there. Siddhaswarup, at that time, Prabhupada had him traveling with him. And, Burajan was there. Siddhaswarup was Maharaj, and his good friend, well-wisher, Sudama Vipra. Someone laughed. Yes, Sudama Vipra Maharaj. If you know him, you would also have a little chuckle. He was a Maharaj. In past, he was basically a thug. He was a very heavy-duty person, the kind of person you would want with you if there was some trouble around, because he could dispel it very quickly. So it was in the evening, and we're all in Srila Prabhupada's room. And it was evening time for, Prabhupada said, hot milk. That was every evening. Every evening I was with him. Hot milk was there. Garam doodh. Garam doodh. So, of course, we were in a hotel room, which meant I had to go downstairs to the ground floor, or even below the ground floor, to the kitchen, big hotel kitchen. And of course I'm in Dhoti Kurta, I'm 21 years old, shaved head, tilak, and we're the most mysterious looking people on the planet to these people in the Philippines. So I go down to the kitchen and I look in, and of course, and I say I need a glass of hot milk, and I'm going to do it for my spiritual master. Anyway, they basically ignored me. And I tried again in my very not heavy personality. I need to cook this milk for my guru. Anyway, they just looked and just sent me on my way. And I went back to Prabhupada's room. And I said, Prabhupada, I can't produce this hot milk. And he just curled his lip and just looked at me. So immediately, this Sudama Vipra Maharaj, he gets up and he leaves the room. A few minutes later, he comes back with the cup of milk, puts it in front of Prabhupada. And Prabhupada looks at him. He said, Prabhupada, sometimes you have to push yourself. And Prabhupada looked at me and he said, he is not serious. And I wasn't. Once in Juhu, we went to the Juhu festival. What an amazing festival, huh? Guru Das Prabhu. I've been to many, many festivals with Prabhupada, after Prabhupada. This was an extraordinary, well put together festival. They took care of everyone very, very nicely. And I heard from so many devotees the challenges they had, the inconveniences, Prabhupada says, inconveniences. And many of them, they took it like that. But it was a very difficult situation. So many struggles. You've heard so many of the stories. Our god sister, Maita Healy, chained herself to the pillar as they were just about to remove the roof. After those paid thugs, these gundas came in, the paid police came in, they were destroying the temple on order. And she chained herself, and she said, "You'll have to kill me to get down this temple." This is a devotee. This is how a devotee acts for the Supreme Lord. Radharasa Bahari, what an amazing pastime. Ultimately, it's all their pastime, just to draw all of us closer and closer to them, to make us want nothing else, to make us become serious. A couple years earlier, in that same small temple built by Mr. Seti, Prabhupada was chanting Jaya Radha Madhava. This is like 1973, 74. And he's sitting on the Vyasasana and he's chanting, and of course I'm right there, next to him. And someone's playing the mridanga. So you listen to Prabhupada chanting Jaya Radha Madhava, then he picks it up. In the second stanza, second verse coming around, he picks it up and he started playing cartels. But the person playing the mridanga, he was just continued doing his own beat, his own time. He didn't shift with Srila Prabhupada. He didn't be a little quicker for Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada's playing and he's chanting and he looks at me and he goes, in other words, grab the mridanga. Because I don't know how to play mridanga well, but I kept time. I knew how to keep time. That much I could do. And I froze. And I just sat there. Not serious. I saw in Juhu dozens of serious devotees doing anything for Srila Prabhupada, doing anything for Radharasa Bahari, here in this temple. But there the challenges, they were just overwhelming. But the devotees stayed. They were serious. They carried on. This is our business. One place Prabhupada says, of course he says, initiation, that's formality. He said the real initiation when you follow the instructions. Even you get initiated, what is the point if you don't follow the instructions? But if you follow the instructions very clearly, everything, of course, will happen. Initiation, everything will follow. We have to be serious. So that's not something that just falls on your head. I was with Srila Prabhupada 2.5 years, and I'm seeing more and more. When am I going to become serious? When am I going to be ready to chain myself to a pillar for Krishna, for the deities? We were here in India, in Juhu last week. In Hawaii, I don't know if some of you I'm sure have seen it in your news feed on your phone. They called it a false alarm. Recently, after all the rhetoric by our president in North Korea, the bombs are coming, everyone in Hawaii, they've been in anxiety. That's within range of these missiles coming from North Korea. So for many, many decades, they've had tsunami warning siren. Tsunami warning siren. And every month, of course, the beginning of the month, siren goes off the first day around noontime, so you know something happens, you're going to hear that siren. So now they have a different siren. It's called the missile is coming. You're about to be nuked siren. So they've included that. So that's been for a few months now. So they say that at a shift change, someone pushed the button, the alert button. Missile is coming. So everyone on the islands, all the islands, they get a text on their phone saying, missile alert. This is not a test. Take shelter immediately. A missile is on its way. Imagine that feeling. They showed pictures, videos, men opening up manhole covers, putting their children down below the street level to protect them. Others drove in tunnels in the mountains. There are some roads have tunnels. They drove. Everyone's thinking, how can I survive? Part of me, a lot of me wishes I was there. It took 37 minutes before another text came out, before any information came out saying, oh, we made a mistake, it's a false alarm, everything's okay, don't worry. 37 minutes. I live in a place close to the ocean. I was thinking, how would I have reacted? I was with Prabhupada in Mayapur when he had his World War III conversation, morning walk conversation. Everybody was buzzing, all the devotees asking questions. Of course, everybody wants to know the date it's going to happen. Previously, it was in New Dwarka. One devotee comes in to Prabhupada in his room. Prabhupada's sitting behind a desk and says, Prabhupada, they say that you said that the bomb, World War III, is going to begin, and he gave some date, not too far, maybe 3 months, 6 months away. And Prabhupada looks, he just shakes his head. He said, where did you hear this? He says, well, the devotee said that Sruta Kirti said that you said that the war will begin on such and such date. And Prabhupada looked at me. He said, did you say? I said, Prabhupada, I never said anything about a war. He said, yeah, Prabhupada, we want to just see. That was always one of his. Just see, he said. He said, they will say, Prabhupada said this, and Prabhupada said this, Prabhupada said this. He said, but if you don't hear me say it, I didn't say it. Because he knows that's a fact. In Mayapur, he said to me once, you can say anything you want, just don't put it in writing. Right? And you can say anything at any time. So, no, I never said such a thing. So anyway, I was sitting there, and I wanted to be sitting there thinking, how would I react to this situation? Some portion of my lifetime in and out of Krishna consciousness, before Krishna consciousness, we learned this philosophy, Prabhupada used to tell us when we were 18, 19, 20-year-old, death will come at any moment. How many of us thought, how many of you at that age think it's going to come at any moment? Anyone? Anyone think you can walk out the door and a piece of tile fall off, slit you right like that? We know recently that Mataji, a very wonderful devotee, in an instant we're gone. And he would always say that. I didn't think so. I was telling Guru Das Prabhu yesterday how that's why they send children into the wars, 18-year-olds. Because you tell them, you just go towards that enemy, he's firing, all kinds of weapons, bullets, machine guns. But you're 18 and you're thinking, I've been trained up very well. Nothing's going to kill me. I have a helmet on my head. I'll be okay. And they just charge in. This is 18. This is 19. Death. And not even a question. But it's there any minute. I would have really liked to have that moment to think, would I have just sat down right at the edge of the ocean, chanting Hare Krishna figure? It's done. Get my Prabhupada Murti, get my Govardhan, just sit there and figure, maybe we have 10 minutes, maybe we have an hour. What am I going to do? Am I going to head for the hills, as we say in the U.S.? Head for the hills. That's not going to do anything. That's what people are thinking. As children, I saw a funny blurb, it showed when we were in the 50s and 60s, we had our school desks, they were all in a row. So we had fallout shelters. Because at that time we were, concerned about the Russians, them evil red people, the commies. They were going to bomb us. We were always in anxiety about these bombs coming. So in the classroom, our training was, if that siren goes off, you would climb under this desk, just like this desk, for your protection. Now, this desk is going to protect you. No, there is no protection. Our only protection is taking shelter of Krishna, taking shelter of the spiritual master, taking shelter of Srila Prabhupada. I want to be like that. I want to become serious in Krishna consciousness. And gradually, I see Krishna's mercy. He's forcing me to become more serious. He's taking things away gradually, these ideas I can enjoy in this body. That my whole lifetime, I figured somehow or other, do some chanting, do some service, but still want to enjoy. But it's not possible. Inconveniences, from very little inconveniences, a mosquito in the bedroom while you're sleeping at night, to very massive inconveniences, almost dead in a moment. So this is what we're being trained for, this very time. When Prabhupada, he always was serious. And at the same time, he was very sweet. I saw two Prabhupads, two Srila Prabhupads. There was when the door was closed, and when he opened the door and walked into the temple room and sat down in his Vyasasana. And he spoke the absolute truth, uncompromising, would never give you a smidgen of change, never went off but then he would walk back into his room. That was his service to his spiritual master. 1922 he told him, go to the West and preach. And just before he left, he wrote him, what shall I do? Go to the West and preach. He knew what he was supposed to do. He knew what he had to do. And he carried that message with him his entire life until the age of 69, when he arrived in U.S., 70 years old. But he had a lifetime, as it says, lifetime in preparation. But he always, that was his business. I just wanted to make the point, but when he went into his room, he was just very sweet. There was an innocence. I always say childlike, not childish, but childlike. He didn't seem like he would be the same person that was doing everything he was doing. He was a simple devotee. Because he was a simple devotee, he didn't require anything. His servant left, he didn't say, who's next on the list? Who's going to take over now? It's Sruta Kirti has left. It took months before he had an official servant. He didn't care anything for himself. He was simple. He was content with whatever Krishna provided. But there was no contentment in carrying out the order of his spiritual master. He was serious. I said, right there in his rooms here in 1974, when we thought he was going to leave us then. And then after some weeks, he began to recover. So the situation was very difficult. All the devotees, same thing. Many of the GBCs, sannyasis, temple leaders, they were here at the temple. So particularly the GBC that were here, they all got together because their feeling was that Prabhupada needed to retire from all of this hard work, all of this service. Just do his translating work. During that time, while he was ill, 3 times, he would sit under that banyan or tamal tree. 3 different times he said to me, this illness, he said, is because 80% of the leaders are not following. He told me that 3 times. Now, of course, none of those times did I say, what do you mean by not following? It was enough that he said that. One of the ways I was with Prabhupada, he told me as much as he wanted to tell me. And if I was intelligent enough, I could understand. So not to follow could mean many, many things, huh? Maybe they just weren't serious. Some were following, maybe some weren't chanting, some weren't following. Maybe some just weren't serious enough in following his instructions, huh? Because their instructions were, you do just like me. That's why you're GBC. Just do as I'm doing. So there's many levels of not following. Huh? So they came to the conclusion, Prabhupada needs to retire, we've got to take over this management for him. We have to relieve him of this headache. Prabhupada always, they get headache. We have to relieve him of the headache. So they marched into the room. Now they felt, we're serious, we're ready. We're serious, we know what we need to do. You've been training us all these years, and this is what they're telling Prabhupada. We're ready. We're ready to take over. We're ready to manage ISKCON for you, so you can just translate your books. Who are you to tell me you're going to relieve me of my service? This was Prabhupada's response. He said, I'll retire when I'm ready to retire. Not you tell me when I'm retiring. So, see, this is Krishna consciousness. Never, ever, as Prabhupada say, to the very last breath. There's no question for us of retirement. Becoming less serious, we were more serious. Now, I put in my time. Again, I see these devotees in Juhu, so serious. Their whole lifetimes for Srila Prabhupada. One devotee, Mahabodhi, I never even knew him. I mean, he told some stories in the morning. The devotees were hysterical. It was amazing. Fighting. You say, like, we used to see as children in the Western movies, the Westerns, the barroom brawls, chairs over the head, smashing, people bottled. This was going on in Juhu. Even after Mr. Nair died. These things were still going on. It wasn't like everything became wonderful. They were having regular battles. One man, it was over shoes, so suspected stolen shoes, but they had plants in there just to make trouble. They didn't accept the devotees in Juhu. After Prabhupada left, they thought, now we can get the temple back. He's gone. We couldn't do anything with him there. So then again they tried to usurp the temple, to get the temple from the devotees, to take over the land. But they were determined. Just as Prabhupada was determined, he gave it to them. While Prabhupada was here in those days, sometimes they weren't so determined. I told those stories. They were saying, why, Prabhupada? Why? Let's just get something else fighting this man. What's the use? So they were not so determined, not so serious as well. It was a process. But by the time Prabhupada left, they understood. We'll give our lives for this temple, just as he was ready to. We'll give our lives for Radha Rasa Bahari. This is our business. It's not just some social club we're attending, take some nice prasadam, jump up and down, chant Hare Krishna. We have to do something. We have to become serious somehow. As Prabhupada was serious. Your bhajan, that's okay. Once you're all done with your fight for the day, you go, you chant. Prabhupada said, I read my Bhagavad-Gita every day. So it's not like he was one-dimensional. He was doing everything. Walking around in his room, chanting his round, chanting. He followed everything very, very strictly. He was very determined. He was serious to follow his spiritual master's instructions. It was in that same Juhu place, before the temple was there, when Prabhupada was on the second floor flat, when he told me all those amazing stories about his childhood. One evening, over a half an hour, he just went one story to the next, to the next. He was completely absorbed, childlike. He was a child again. He was right there. It was present. He was in the present telling his stories. And the one story he told, again, you all have heard it. He's out with his father. He sees the gun. Father buys him a gun. Then he looks, needs a gun for this hand. His father said, you have a, no, I have to have one for both hands. Oh, his father tried his best. He said, but he was determined. From his birth, he came out serious. He was always serious because he didn't take normal birth. He was a transcendental person. He came here with his mission from the very beginning. And he was ready. He needed a gun for both hands. He was going to get everyone with Krishna consciousness. And he said, and his father still wouldn't give him that gun. He said, I laid on the ground. He did what he did. He said, you see this scar? That's from that time. He said he was banging his head on the ground. That's Krishna consciousness. You have to know what you're going to do and not take no for an answer. Someone objects, you can't use the stove. I walked away. They're useless. Prabhupada would say useless. What is your use? You have no value, no brain. So I need to become serious in Krishna consciousness. And I'm encouraged, enlivened. At the festival I became so happy associating, seeing so many wonderful devotees so serious in Krishna consciousness. After all these decades. Amazing people. All we say we know is Shyama Sundar, Guru Das. They're here. You have to hear from them. Get their books. Amazing. I say none of them are ordinary. I know I had no business because I was never serious. Somehow I got very lucky in very many ways. But these people did such amazing service for Srila Prabhupada. They were serious. He told them they could do something, and they knew they could do it. And they got to see it over time. I heard Shyama Sundar yesterday was telling the story about $100 bills dropping out of the sky. They had no money. It fell out of the sky. Whether it was from some building, whatever. Krishna provided. Because they were serious. And I see that in my own little way. If I make the attempt to do something, Krishna gives facility. Otherwise, I'm on my own. I have to figure out how to pay for my food, pay for my apartment, do this, do that. But as soon as I say, I'll do some service, everything happens. Someone gives you a donation, your ticket gets taken care of, things happen. It's Krishna. Krishna's everywhere. He's doing everything. Srila Prabhupada knew it, What did he do? He came to America. He had his two weapons. In his childhood, he had his two weapons. Now he had his other two weapons. He came to the U.S. The order of his spiritual master and the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And he knew, with these two things, I'll just follow. I'll just do my best. And it wasn't that everything happens so easily. We shouldn't think that for ourselves. I'm a devotee. Why struggle so much? We know Prabhupada struggles, but he continued on. He wasn't going to retire from it. I tried, I'm done. No, he tried, and he continued, and everything came. So this is our process. We need to become serious. I need to become serious. In my whole lifetime, I see that, as Prabhupada would say, Krishna, he turns that screw. If you don't do it on your own, by reading, hearing, and chanting, then he's very, very kind. He'll start to take those things away from you that you're attached to. It will happen. That's his mercy. That's his love. And when it happens, then we become happy. And this is our goal, just to become happy in Krishna consciousness. And if we know we're serving Guru and Krishna to the best of our ability, we'll be happy. That's real happiness. So I can stop here. I want to thank everyone. I feel very unqualified speaking here amongst so many wonderful devotees. And it's very wonderful. We made it back here to Vrindavan after Juhu. It was beautiful there. You all have to visit there sometime, especially in the winter. Very wonderful time to go. But Vrindavan is home. There's nowhere like Vrindavan. Whatever the temperature is, this is Vrindavan. It's the home of Krishna Balaram, Radha Syamasundar, Gaur Nitai, Prabhupada's home. So I also, by your kindness, feel at home here. So if anyone has any questions or comments, please. Gurudas Prabhu. You can give him.
Did Prabhupada ever
I'll repeat it if not working.
Did Prabhupada ever clarify how to show down? Did he ever delineate it?
On that, what he said, 80% weren't following? No, I have no. Like I said, it could take various forms. But he, of course, was making a point, and it was a fact. Prabhupada accepted everything we did. It was his mercy. We were following, not following, chanting, not chanting. Again, we were Westerners, huh? We weren't also fixed in the regulation of doing things. And of course, devotees, some of them were working very, very hard. Very hard. It was in Bhaktivedanta Manor once when one sannyasi went in the room, and the temple vice president, I think it was, or president at the time, went in the room, and they complained the GBC wasn't chanting his rounds. That was Shyamasundar Prabhu. Right? He said, he's not chanting his rounds. And the president, he was saying it. Prabhupada said, you can leave. He immediately sent him out of the room. He just saw his attitude, the way critical. He said, you can go. So then Swami, Rabadinandan Swami says, well, Srila Prabhupada, it's a fact. He's not chanting his rounds. He said, we know it. Prabhupada said, Arjuna wasn't chanting his rounds.
Another time, somebody said the federal president in Detroit wasn't changing his rounds, and the person was a tattletale, and Prabhupada didn't like that you saw. So then Prabhupada said, how do you know he's not changing his rounds? So then, well, he told me that he wasn't changing his rounds. Well, then he should stay president because he's honest. And I'd like to say one other thing that you don't realize, but when Prabhupada would tell you things and you didn't say, what are you talking about, Prabhupada? That's one of the reasons you were with Prabhupada, because of your simple, in a good way, nature, and it's transparent by media, because by talking through you, because in counseling, listening is a big part of it. So you listen, and that's what he needed. And through you, it came back to him. It's a way to speak to yourself, transparent by him. So it's a service.
It's also a way of chastising without chastising, because he knew I'd go and tell everybody everything. It was the uncle, the Indian uncle. He didn't have to do it. He did that with me many times. I've told many stories where I'd say, Prabhupada, No, everything's okay. But he had already done the chastising. He didn't need to do it again. So, yeah, he had many...
Yeah, but having been chastised sometimes, he wouldn't do it if the devotee couldn't take the chastisement.
That's right.
It's a form of love. It's a caressing. It's a form of realization. But so I saw him chastise the devotee went away, disappeared forever. Misunderstood.
I say in 2 years, he yelled, he chastised me like 4 times, where I saw others 4 times in a day, Tamal Krishnamaya, he could, Tejas Prabhu would just they just said to him, Prabhupada, you please correct me, criticize me, and Prabhupada said, okay, every time he walked in the room, whatever he did was wrong, if he spent 1 rupee, why did you spend 1 rupee? Should have been 20 pice. He couldn't do anything right. And he wanted that lashing from Prabhupada. I never did, and he knew it. And I say as a result, towards the end, he'd just look at me. He didn't have to say a word. I have been with them long enough. Just the wrong look was enough to make you just melt on the floor, But he was wonderful. He was loving. There was nothing better. Can think of no better time. Everything else is just trying to survive in this material world. Being with him, listen to Shyama Sundar speak. He'd walk in the room, always excited. What's he going to say now? Where's he going to want to go? Who's he going to want to talk to? What amazing activity is he going to present? Because you never knew. You never knew. In Mayapur, I walked in once, he said, we're all going to get in jeeps and tour South India, where Lord Chaitanya went. It didn't happen, but it was going to happen. And with Prabhupada, just talking about things seemed like it happened. There was the desire to do it. So he had a desire to do so many things that would be personally very wonderful and exciting. But there was no time, because he had a mission to fulfill. Everything could come later. We have our business to serve. Here, like in Juhu now, thousands of people come in every day. This is your business, to help these people on their mission in Krishna consciousness. Whatever facet activity you're doing, cooking, security, book distribution, everyone, we play a role. We're all working together. Not tearing one another down, not judging one another. Whatever little service any one of us can do. It's all I do. Every now and then, if I do a few minutes of service in a day, it's something. Encourage that service. In Juhu, I found myself doing so much. I just got caught up in the wave that was there. I was MC 5 hours a day. I distributed sweets after the Abhishek for 2 hours straight. They kept buying and bringing them in, so more would get distributed. Myself and Maheshwara Prabhu, my godbrother. We were in ecstasy. I felt like I ate hundreds of sweets. Because I was just relishing, seeing so many people eager for Krishna Prasadam. So we have to throw ourselves into devotional service. Any other questions? Yes, Mataji?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for a lovely class, very inspiring. And you were talking about becoming serious. And one thought came up, but what if I know all the material attachments I have? How can I still become serious?
Our process is one of engaging. We're not, our renunciation is we serve Krishna. We engage ourselves in devotional service, other things fall away. That's what I was saying. I'm attached in so many ways, but if I just push myself into the situation around advanced devotees who are very seriously engaged and happily engaged, you get caught up. At least that's what I find. Of course, we know all the simple things. You chant, follow the principles. But yes, the determination to be serious, that requires work. That's what I said. Prabhupada says determination is difficult. Krishna consciousness is simple. We chant, we dance, take prasadam. But the determination to stick with it through all situations, not just when it's easy, but when it becomes difficult, that's determination. So we also can pray for that. I want to mention one thing. I guess it's kind of a political statement. And I noticed, because in Juhu, of course, that big pandal set up, no roof over us, big stage and a big lawn. And there were chairs on both sides, rows of chairs, couches in the front for us old folks. And then sitting in the grass was there for others. So like I said, from 4 o'clock to 9 o'clock were memories by Srila Prabhupada's disciples and anyone connected with the project in Juhu, Mumbai, Bombay, but even earlier. But I noticed something. I found it, interesting. So in the front rows on the men's side, all the chairs were filled up. And in the back, it was more sparse. But then as I was introducing, and I saw on the women's side, in the first 2 rows, no lady would sit. Just didn't want to do it. But they were sitting, there were plenty of them there, but they just couldn't do it. And the seats were there for them. These were also exalted devotees. These were not, as Prabhupada said, these were not, non-devotee, less intelligent people. These were most intelligent devotees that helped bring this temple to where it was. They were invited, they were being honored as well. But I think there was this feeling, this anxiety, this tension, they didn't want to. Because they've been pushed back all the, not that it's fine, men are here, women are there, but that feeling, that they're Vaishnavis. They're all better than I am. What can I say? As good as me. They're better. Prabhupada said it's easier for them to become Krishna conscious, because they have a service attitude. We have a not very serious attitude sometimes. We think everything should come to us. So it's not a lower birth. Everything is low birth in Kali Yuga. My birth was very low birth, where I was born. But all of us, we need to encourage one another. Men, women, children, whoever it is. We just have to share as Prabhupada did. Prabhupada, I did as much as I did only because I felt Prabhupada's love. And I'm still doing what little I do because I still feel Srila Prabhupada's love. And that's not something we just put up there on the pedestal and worship Prabhupada and remain the same uncaring, unloving person that I am. No, he wants us to be like that. Not to be him, not to imitate him, but to become like him, to become caring for one another, give love to one another. And when you walked in his room, that's what I said, you didn't hear that same Bhagavatam lecture. Say, this is absolute. No, whatever required, just do some service. I told you twice I was in the room when sannyasis who had fell down and got married, and they came before Prabhupada. It was 2 years apart. And each time, the first time it was in Mexico City, Prabhupada, can I still serve you? He said, yes. He said, absolutely. He said, now you're a grahasta like Sruta Kirti. He said, so you go on to, I was traveling with Prabhupada, I was a grahasta with a child, and I'm traveling around the world. No contact with my wife or child, because it was an emergency situation. So whatever was required, we do. But he said, now you'd serve just like Sruta Kirti. He didn't say, didn't not want to see him because he was fallen sannyasi. Then 2 years later here, in 77, when Madhudvisa Prabhu would come back, Prabhupada was so happy to see him after he had been accused of doing so many wrongdoings, embezzling, doing this, that. It went all around the society. Prabhupada said, now you have made it. He cannot even show his face. When he came before Prabhupada in 77, Prabhupada was so happy to see him. He didn't think anything other than, this boy has done so much for me. I love him like anything. And he said, now you're Grahasta like Sruta Kirti. We somehow or other are on the same plane. We came in together. We shaved our heads together. Now you're like Sruta Kirti, just a Grahasta. So do your service. That's all. None of the other stuff, this ashram, that ashram, this body, that body. Prabhupada didn't see those things. He was transcendental. And he allowed us, he encouraged us to do service. So I just want to, in my own little way, everyone just don't let anyone push you out from doing devotional service. No one has that right except Guru and Krishna. If you're doing some service, you have the blessings of Srila Prabhupada. Otherwise, you couldn't. You wouldn't have it. He could remove it in a second. So that's my final words. We'll be leaving very soon. I want to thank you all for being here today, tolerating my babble. Please bless me so that somehow or other I can live here in Vrindavan, associate with devotees, and carry on in Krishna consciousness. Thank you very, very much. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.